What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Boot Nerds podcast. What's up, JayMike?
What's up, my man? Good to be back. Episode number 15. Can you believe it? 15.
I would say no, I can't believe it. We didn't even know what episode it was until about 25 seconds ago. So
don't tell them that. I'm just surprised and honored, and it's a giant privilege that people are still sticking around. That's amazing. So thank you, guys. Basically, if you're still around, you should go and leave a like on the video just so we can see that we have some OG boot nerds around here. That would be really good. But Josh, today we have to celebrate the 15th episode. We have something truly special from a brand we both really like.
Big fan, Mizuno. Everyone knows. If you're a true boot nerd, surely you must have had a Mizuno at least once.
At least once, or you will have at least wanted a pair of Mizunos at least a couple of times. It is, I don't want to kiss their ass here, but it is just the brand you go to if you want the highest quality boots out there. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's the one brand that I have the hardest time criticizing because they very rarely make a wrong step.
Yeah, you can argue with the current Repula. There are some niggles here and there, but knowing Mizuno, they're gonna fix it. And maybe I'm just being unlucky here, but we talked about that when we rated all boots on the market. So it just goes to show the Mizuno are just up there with everything they do. It's just high quality. They just know their stuff. And now they've released a pretty special colorway for a should we say pretty special player?
I would say very special.
Very special. Not from my perspective. I'm a Man United fan, so I should hate his guts. But still, you gotta acknowledge that this is one of the the big strikers in European and especially English football. Fernando Torres.
It's right there on the back.
There we go.
If it focuses.
So basically, they've made this boot, signature boot for Fernando Torres. As you all know, he joined Mizuno after he moved to Japan. This is usually what happens, that we see the stars having these big money contracts, endorsing Nike, Adidas, Puma, whatever. Then they move abroad. Iniesta did the same. And they actually, they decide to wear what they want to wear. I'm not saying that the Nike boots are bad. I'm just saying that, once Fernando Torres didn't get the Nike money to endorse the Nike boots, he went into something that, where he only had to care about what he truly liked. And that turned out to be Mizuno. So that's a funny thing. And now they've made his first signature boot. Obviously, it's white, red, and gold, as you can see. And they've made 1,999 pairs. The story behind this is that we all know Fernando Torres is one of the big number 9s of the modern age. The Liverpool supporters even sang, Fernando Torres, Liverpool's number 9, na 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 na, and it goes on and on. Still haunting my dreams, and those of Nemanja Vidic, I guess. And also the fact that Fernando Torres got his first contract in 1999. So nice little reference there. And obviously the boot is white because Fernando Torres likes his boots to be like pure white, as he told Mizuno. So they've made it primarily white, and then a reference with the red and the gold to Spanish heritage that he has. So that's pretty nice. Otherwise, it's a standard Mizuno Morelia Neo 2.
Did you see the? Have you seen the box, Jay?
I haven't seen the box.
Check out the box.
I haven't seen the boot yet, and I'm.
It's white. I don't know if you can see this in the video, but it's white, and then it has like this gold and silver like metal flake throughout with the chrome made in Japan branding. Pretty cool.
They just know their stuff. They just know how to make it premium, right? You just gotta put it at that.
Yeah.
What do you reckon of the actual colorway?
I really like it. It reminds me a lot of the Wave Cup Legend release colorway, just with red instead of blue. But
and it also has this like OG Morelia 2, I think it was the white and red colorway that we've seen a couple of times.
Yeah.
The white and red really goes back a long time, the red Rumbird and all that stuff. So good stuff.
White, red, and gold. Can't go wrong.
It always works. So pretty cool. They have this F9T. Actually, now that I say it, 1999.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, someone at Mizuno have been really clever. Or I'm just making up stuff. But I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool.
There you go.
Actually, you know what? It's pretty crazy that I don't think Torres has ever really had a signature boot from any brand.
No.
Which is
You're
crazy
right.
considering the career he's had.
Has he been with any other brand than Nike? Was he with?
He was with Adidas for a stint. Yeah.
True. Yeah, he was.
No, never got a
Why?
signature colorway though.
I've just completely deleted that from my memory. When he was at Atletico, right? He was with Adi. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, because I think he was wearing. I think he switched when like LZ1 came out. No,
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, my memory didn't serve me right. I just basically remember Fernando Torres for destroying Nemanja Vidic when he was at Liverpool and then destroying himself when he rounded David De Gea and basically put the ball wide of the goal. So two Fernando Torres. One of the most terrifying strikers we have seen in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I mean, on his day, he was unplayable.
Yeah,
So,
ridiculous.
I just got to say, Fernando Torres, you played for the two wrong clubs, my man, but respect.
Like I was never a Liverpool fan growing up, but that was like one of the guys when I was like 13, 14 years old that I was like, wow, I want to be like him. Like actually one of my very first shirt I ever had was a Real Madrid Zidane jersey. And then my second ever shirt was a Liverpool Torres jersey.
No.
I know. It's a weird
Friendship
story.
over.
I had a Torres jersey. I needed it. Don't have it anymore.
Good. Did you burn it when he went to Chelsea?
Not sure what happened to it. It's actually, here's the funny story. The first Zidane jersey I got was a men's large at like age 10. And my parents got it for me. They're like, this will fit you for the rest of your life. And they were right. Where the Torres jersey was like the proper size for the time. So I think I just ended up growing out of it and who knows where it ended up.
I thought you were going to say your parents bought you the men's large and said, this will fit you. End of story. That would have been a pretty epic story.
Yeah. So my first shirt, like I couldn't wear for like the first 6 years because it was like a dress.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Fair
whatever.
enough. I mean, yeah. It's a pretty legendary player to have on a shirt. So, so Fernando, how would you rate this out of 10? Like, obviously, we both like the boot a lot, so let's not go over that. But looks-wise, story-wise for Fernando Torres.
I mean, the story is really cool. Player is incredible.
It's not the craziest story we've ever seen, though. It's a nice story.
But
and it's a nice execution. I would probably end at like an 8 out of 10.
I agree with you. I'm a little biased because I just love white boots with a single accent color. I think that always looks really good. It's got a little bit of a pearl shine to it, which is like a signature Mizuno thing. Yeah, 8.5 is fair.
8.5. It's a nice execution, really, really solid. So yeah, good job, Mizuno. I mean, 1999 pairs. It's probably not gonna fly off the shelves as quickly as the Wave Cup Legends did because they were also like people realized this is the stuff. But I mean, it's a nice execution. I like that.
Cool.
Good things to come from Mizuno. With that said, now we were talking about our childhood. It kind of leads us into the main topic of today's video, which I'm sure you're all dying to hear our thoughts about, which was basically the boots that played a big role in our childhood, right?
The best and worst boots that we wore during our childhood.
Exactly. Now, I gotta put my hands up. I have worn some pretty bad boots in my childhood.
I'm with you.
And I've been wearing, before I really realized that I really like football boots. Probably a little bit too early for my parents' liking, I guess. but I've been wearing some pretty shitty takedowns. Do you remember the first Air Zoom Total 90?
Yes.
The black and the white.
Yes.
There was this takedown of it that was basically I had in like a kid size and it had a very thick suede like heel liner on it. And I convinced myself that this was the very same boot. I got it for Christmas. This was the very same boot that Luis Figo was playing with, Roberto Carlos and all those guys. Until I grew up and the paint on the toe of the boot, the black paint started to fall off because I wore it so much, and then I realized, okay, this is probably not the highest price point that.
Yeah, but growing up as a kid, I don't think I was ever really concerned. It wasn't until maybe like age 12 where I was like, oh, there's a difference between the high end ones and the low end ones.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even back then, I kind of realized and I knew that the takedown models, I started to identify how the takedown models were different from the high-end models. I had a pair of a Predator Precision takedowns. I do not remember their name for the life of me, but I had those, and they were, I guess, they were pretty bad. They were all right back then, but they had the stripes going around the boot. On the high-end Precision, they met at the heel, but this had, there was a bigger space between the striping, and also there was this piece of synthetic leather on the back that kind of split the stripes, so they didn't meet. And I was extremely disappointed when I found out.
So you're telling me you wore all these boots as a kid, and then you came to this realization one day that you were wearing the crappy version your whole childhood. Yep. That's funny.
Yep.
That's really funny. I actually had a pair of takedown Precisions too growing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just the classic black, red, and white.
Yeah, same.
I don't remember particularly loving them at the time, but looking back, they were really good quality for takedowns.
And they were better quality back then. Yeah,
because that's the thing. That was a time when leather boots were the thing to have. So yeah, the top end one would have the best quality leather, but the leather they'd include on takedown models back then is pretty legit.
Not too bad. I agree. It was a solid football boot. Obviously, it was heavy.
Yeah, but everything was.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I just remember maybe it's also just the disappointment that's still stuck inside me. That this wasn't the high end model. I was so proud when I got those boots, man, and then I realized it was that was. But actually, when we discussed the topic before the podcast here, I immediately thought of one of my first pair of boots. It was back in, I think, 1996, and it was a pair of Asics. And I think actually a decent pair of boots. My dad paid what would be the equivalent of €100 for them, I think. Leather Asics boots, and they were Asics boots, and they were actually they were all right. I just grew out of them really quickly. But they were actually pretty good back then. This was the time when I got them because my friend had also gotten them, and he convinced me, because he was kind of the boot savvy guy back then. He convinced me that Asics, the A, was actually a B, so he thought they were called Basics. So I called them my Basics boots when I had them. They were pretty good boots, very soft leather, small fold over tongue. I think they were the same boots that Brian Laudrup was wearing back in the days. Yeah.
Wow. They didn't even. Asics was never available here.
No.
So that was
never. What's your earliest memory of a childhood boot?
My very first boots. I have the picture. Wait, I have the picture. Let me go grab it.
Wow. Okay.
I think I showed you this a while ago. And we said we'd put this on the podcast at some point in time. Today is that day. Episode 15.
Okay.
So there's me at, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years old. And I think we ended up, they're Nike Zoom Italias or something like that?
Yes.
So yeah, that's a very Canadian picture with the Tim Hortons. So all the house leagues in Canada, or most of them, it's called Timbits, which is like the donut. It's like a donut hole, the little center of the donut that you can buy at Tim Hortons. So they call it Timbits. And I don't know why I still have this, but I still have it. That ball, look at that. Can you see that ball, Jay? Look at the ball. Classic.
Oh my God. Classic.
Too bad those aren't around anymore.
Yeah. Well, Adi should make, a proper Telstar looking like that. That would be good.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. But, I mean, they were actually all right boots. I guess, were they the high-end models or takedown just looking like
they were
Italias?
They were the cheaper ones. Well, I was a kid, right? They were probably their kid size, right? But weird colorway, too. Like, it was like the dark navy blue, which was kind of unusual at the time.
Really, really cool looking, by the way. I think my friend, the boot savvy guy, also had those, and I was mega jealous of him. So
really,
but let's look at what would you consider childhood here? Because what's the age limit we're talking?
I think once you started recognizing that this football boot is good and this one's not. Like the ones that like, oh, I really wanted this boot and I went and got it. Because realistically, like that was the first pair of boots I ever had. I have no memory of like getting those. They were just the boots my parents bought me, I assume.
Yeah, okay.
But I do remember my second pair, and again, this just goes to show how much I cared as a kid that early on. My second pair was a pair from Walmart. So that was my follow-up for a pair of Nike Zoom Italias.
Wow.
Yeah, very bad.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of the people who follow both the Boot Nerds podcast and your channel is going to roast you for that next time you go to Walmart and absolutely destroy their boots. So a very valuable piece of information for the guys out there. Remember this, guys.
It's only ever one pair. It was only Walmart pair of boots I ever had.
One pair.
Hey,
they all
shut
say
up.
That, right?
You were wearing basics for a whole year.
I was just going to say, this is going to come back to haunt me, right? Yeah, so basics, that's pretty good. Asics, let's do something together one day because clearly I've loved your brand forever.
No. Jay, we start our own brand called Basics.
Oh, that would be
and we compete against them.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, looking at, okay, let's say that I probably started really caring about football boots and the quality, by getting high-end boots when I was 14, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. I'd probably say 14. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. 14. I got the Air Zoom Total 90 Chameleon, the first generation. The one that looked green in one light setting and then brown in another.
Yeah, I know which ones.
Very, very good looking boot. I got those because they were heavily reduced. And then I actually got the white black pair of that a little bit later as well. So I had those two and they were really, really nice. I loved them. And after that, I really started realizing, okay, football boots is something I appreciate a lot. So I got the first Vapor that I bought off a friend. And also got the first one of the first Lotto Zhero Pluses, which was kind of the Lotto's equivalent of the Vapor, slightly cheaper but just as light and very, very good. Those were probably some of the first decent boots I remember from my youth, so to speak.
I want to say the first high-end boot that I had, and again, it was just because we went to the local store and it was heavily reduced. It was I tried looking this up like a few months ago because I just wanted to tell the story on my channel, and I could not find them. It was from Puma.
Okay.
So it was like a light gray boot with, I want to say, a red form stripe down the side, and it had kind of a V-Construct style of stud pattern where it had all the crazy, the studs in the heel what Puma was doing, where it looked really crazy,
chunky. Yeah.
It still had the cell cushion thing as well.
Was it the Puma Cellerator?
It could have been a Puma Cellerator of some sort. Might have been. I'm not 100% sure.
Was it called the Cellerator Shudoh? Google tells me.
Puma Cellerator. Let's see.
That's white and gray with a red.
Similar, but they were, I think it must have been the second generation. Is there a Cellerator 2? No, it's not. It's something like Puma Cellerator Respiro.
They made the Shudoh?
It is. It's definitely got to be from this line. I don't know which specific one though.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find this out.
That was a fun boot because it really had like a very very stiff toe box. I remember it actually fit really well. I tried it a couple of years after when I really started, buying older boots just because I really liked it. I also got the accelerators at that point, the Precisions and all that stuff because I really wanted to try it. But I also got the Shudohs, and they were, they had this really weird textile, slightly glossy toe box to them. It was fun boot, really weird stud construction, but
I remember putting them on and thinking, oh, these feel really good. But what really drew me to that boot was the stud pattern in the heel, because the studs were just like so different looking. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I want that. And looking back, I think I probably passed up like some actual like Predator Manias or something to pick those instead, which makes absolutely no sense. But I think actually my next pair ended up being a pair of the Champagne Predator Manias.
Okay, good choice.
That
Did you ever
sale.
have the Puma King Xx, the one that had the fold over tongue?
Never.
Okay, those were also pretty nice. They just the Shudoh just reminded me a little bit of the XX.
No, never. That was the only Puma boot that I had growing up.
Okay, you missed out on some pretty fun boots. Let's just put it like that.
The problem, you got to realize too, the culture over here, especially at that time, was totally different. Where I lived, we had 2 stores that had this kind of stuff. Yeah. The one store had most of the newer stuff. The other store you'd go into and you'd never know what you'd find. It was just the organization of the store was similar to my office, where it's just stuff piled everywhere. Yeah. And you tell the owner what size, and he'd come out with these random shoes that he dug out of the pile, and it's what's the price? That's how it was.
Was that how the way you found the accelerators?
Yes. So
I find it funny, thinking about the fact, when did the accelerators come out? Was that around 2002?
Oh, I don't know.
2003, 4? I mean, it hadn't been that many years ago since the accelerators came out. I don't know if it was a dig. I think it's called dig at Addy. They did it on purpose. It was just pretty fun. Obviously, it featured the Puma Cell technology, so it made sense.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
But which Josh was the best boot you had as a kid or a young guy?
The one I have the fondest memories of, and again, I have to credit Fernando Torres to really influencing my decision, was the T90 Laser 2.
Oh, you're going on about
the launch colorway in the white with the silver shot shield and the red swoosh. Jay, those are my favorite. Nice. Those were the best.
Nice. Yeah, it was pretty nice. So that's the best childhood memory boot you have. That
for me was I really liked the T90 Laser 1. I had those. That was the first the boot came out and I got it as soon as it came out. That was the first time that had ever happened. So that was really exciting. Really liked those. And then I recently told the story on my channel of, then I got kind of into Mercurials after I was over the T90 thing, because they were starting to get really cool. I don't know why I was so into the Vapor 4. I just thought it was a cool looking boot. I'm I want that. Yeah, even though they're horribly uncomfortable. But the Vapor 4 SL, crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. They showed them and they were way too expensive, but finally I found a pair on sale and I got them in the Marina Volt colorway. So the dark blue with the Volt swoosh. Got them, ordered them. It was the first pair of boots I ever ordered online because they didn't even, the SL was never even available in Canada. So I waited the whole week, and shipping to Canada is ridiculously slow. Took forever.
Did you finally buy them on Unisport?
I don't think so.
Oh, then I don't want to hear about it.
So they finally show up, and I immediately take them out of the package, get on my bike, put a couple balls in my backpack, and go right to the field because I got to use these immediately, right? No. So I go and play in them. And then it's been an hour, 2 hours, and I noticed that the left boot, or I don't even know, it was one of them, felt a little bit less stiff or different than it did originally, right? Take the boots off, sole plate's cracked in half. So day one, within hours of getting these boots, they were broken. So then, and here's the story. So I go to send them back to warranty because I just did a warranty claim on a pair of Vapor 4s in the launch color because they had that cat pee smell. I don't know if you ever came across that issue.
Yeah, I heard the story.
I've never had it. They sent me a new pair. So I'm oh, whatever. I wasn't too bummed out because I'm I could just send them into Nike warranty and they'll send me a new pair. It's not a big deal. So I send them in. Nike Canada approves the warranty claim. But then I get the phone call saying, oh, we don't actually carry that model in Canada. We can send you a regular pair of Vapor 4s, though. And I'm no. So that was it. I had Vapor 4 SLs for 2 hours.
3 hours, yeah. Okay. Wow. See, that's
Terrible.
A pretty unlucky story. So they were the worst boots of your childhood?
Most disappointing. No, I would say the worst boots I had of my childhood. Probably, if I'm being real, F50.6 Tunits.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
Those were bad.
Yeah, they were not good. They were not good. I didn't enjoy them one bit either. If I should look at probably my favorite boot of my child, there has been a lot. I really enjoyed the Lotto Zhero Pluses. Have you ever worn those?
No, I would go to the soccer store, see the Lottos on the shelf, say, "Wow, these are really nice." No, give me the Mercurials that are going to give me blisters.
Yeah. Because actually, the Lottos were Mercurials that you didn't get blisters from.
They were much better.
I really enjoyed those. I also had the Umbro X boot, the white one with the red cross on it.
Yeah.
Fantastic leather boot. I really wish that they'd still held up. I basically wore them to death. And then I also really enjoyed my pair of Vapor 3s, which was one of the first boots I got for full price at Unisport. I think the Brazil colorway, the yellow and green. And initially I ordered it in the wrong size, and I was so bummed when they showed up. I had practiced that day, and I was ready to go out. And back then I sucked, but I was just so ready to go out and play some decent football and look fresh in my new boots. And they were the wrong size, and basically my whole world fell apart.
Really?
So I sent them back, got the right size, and yeah, the world was good.
Wow.
I was really disappointed with the Puma V106s. I loved the boots, but the durability on them was just, I think I had 2 pairs back then because the first one ripped so quickly, and I got another one. Do you remember the camo grass colorway in black, gray, and yellow?
I have a pair actually.
Oh, you have a pair?
Yeah, I have a pair.
Beautiful boot. Feels fantastic on the ball. But it ripped on me. That was a bad experience. So I never really had a bad pair of boots when I started caring about football boots.
Really? Yeah. No, just the Tunits, because I remember getting them, and I don't remember if I ordered those or not. I don't think I did. I think they had them at the local store. Got them, and it came in this suitcase with all the bits, right? So you're like, this is cool. It's like football boot Legos. Yeah. Put them together.
Would that still be like, I was 18 when the Tunits came out. Would that still be a part of my childhood?
No, 2006? You weren't. Oh, maybe. Well, I'm younger than you, Jay.
Yeah, I know. I'm an old man.
I was still a kid. I was probably 13 years old or something like that. 12 or 13 when that came out.
Wow.
Anyways,
man.
So I got them, put them together, and I got them right at the start of the season. And I mean, it's Canada, so the start of the season is like, there's no snow, we can go outside again, right? So
in June.
So yeah, so it's the first several weeks of practices are mostly just running, right? So me as a 13-year-old, I'm like, I've never had soft ground boots, but now I have soft ground studs. Let me use those.
Amazing.
And the ground is all mushy in the springtime. It's like whatever, great. And we would go to this one specific park and basically just run, and it was all trails and hills and stuff like that. But there were certain stints where the trail just turned into like concrete or hard ground, right? And I'm running in these Tunits with soft ground studs. I ended up bruising my heel, and I basically started the season injured. Finally got back, and then I think I played the first match in them, and I lost 2 studs during the match. And even as a kid, I remember putting them on and thinking this isn't shaped like a foot. Like what? It's just it was just a weird boot, but I love the way that it looked for some reason, which I don't understand now looking back, because it's like laminated plastic for an upper.
But let's be honest, back then, it really mattered how a boot looked, because back then, you were used to boots not fitting well from the get-go. I mean, kids these days, young people these days are really, really fortunate, very lucky that, you can put on a boot and you can just basically instantly go and play without getting blisters or anything. So basically back then it was about how it felt, how light on your feet you felt, or how much punch you had in your shot or whatever, but you realized that they probably sucked the first couple of weeks you wore them.
Yeah.
That's just the way it was.
That was the norm. I guess another really terrible, would have been 15, 16 at this point, was the Superfly 1.
Oh,
I think I might have told the story on the podcast already, but those murdered my feet.
But I guess, I mean, I'll probably, if my childhood, it probably wasn't even in the 90s. I'm that old. But worst pair of boots that I remember back that I had the boots that I disliked the most were actually the Air Zoom Total 93s. And I'm not sure they qualify as childhood boots, but that was also around when I really started caring, They just fit me really weirdly, and I didn't enjoy the burrito-style tongue that they had.
Yeah, that is actually kind of I know that's a lot of people's like all-time favorites.
I know. And fair play to that. I just didn't particularly enjoy. I loved the way it looked, but it just didn't feel right to me. It was very wide and just felt like too chunky for me compared to the Air Zoom Total 92s and 1s.
Yeah.
So there you go. So okay, that was some stories from our childhoods. I'd actually really like to hear what you guys out there think is the best and the worst boots that you've worn in your childhood, and you're free to decide what your childhood is. I mean, if it's going up to 18, fair enough. So just let us know what the fondest memories of a boot and the worst you have in the comment section right down below. And if you enjoyed our talk, do remember to slap a like on the video. That would help us so much, and we'd be very happy, and we're going to make another episode of the Boot Nerds podcast. But with that said, Josh, what do you say we move on to some questions?
Absolutely. And if you haven't asked a question yet and you've made it this far into the podcast, what are you doing? Ask your question.
I mean, you might be picked out next week. Just like this guy. He is called, and I'm going to take it up here because I'm blind, Emmanuel Rojo. What boots is synthetic or Flyknit? That's a criteria. Doesn't have a barefoot sensation and has a great lockdown and responsiveness. I thought it was a great question because, he actually he sets a lot of criteria that we have to, follow. So it has to be synthetic or Flyknit. It doesn't have a barefoot-like feel, and there's good lockdown and responsiveness in it. Okay. Now, I don't know if you have if you're thinking about one particular boot right now, but I immediately thought of two boots. I thought of the Puma Future 2.1 low, and I thought about the Hypervenom. No, it's not the Hypervenom. The Phantom Venom, Jay. The Phantom Venoms. Because they both are knit, obviously. They have, the Future has this slightly plush, thick texturing on the ball that it's not exactly thick, but it also isn't barefoot. Let's put it that way. And because of the NetFit technology, you can actually get a very, very solid lockdown, great responsiveness if you lace it up right. So that's definitely a contender for me. And then obviously the Phantom Venom Elites, which has, the toe box, okay, it is kind of barefoot-like, but it has the striking zone on the instep, which means that you do get a little bit more of a punchy sensation when you strike the ball, and it has the flywire cables. It feels pretty locked in. So I like those two.
I think that's fair. I think you can make, I know you're not a fan, but I think you can make a case for Phantom Vision. Given that they fit you, although the problem is everything knitted is so thin now. Like even like does a Predator count as a barefoot feel now? It almost does.
Almost, yeah. I would basically say that it sits somewhere in the middle because it has this slightly plush feel on the ball. There's a little bit of foam underneath, but I wouldn't call it barefoot. But it's definitely also not tank thick.
Yeah,
plush.
I think you're right. Future 19.1. is a great pick because it's not overly thin. I'm kind of thinking maybe like Nemesis 18.1. That's not a thin boot.
It's not a thick boot either, is it?
I don't know.
What about the Lotto Maestros? I mean, it's not exactly responsive and has super good lockdown, but it's all right. And the touch is somewhere in between being, barefoot. It's not barefoot-like, but it's also not, clumsy, I would say. It's just very well balanced, being elegant, I would say.
Yeah.
Great fitting boot. The heel is doing an all right job in terms of lockdown. Obviously, it doesn't have as much lockdown in the midfoot as the boots I mentioned before, but it would be something I would say that if you don't want any of the other two boots or the Visions even, that could be an option. And they're I think we sell them at Unisport for around €100, so it's a steal. We talked about them before.
God, this is a hard question. I guess my follow-up question is, why don't you want leather boots? This makes this so much easier.
What about the Tequila? I know it's not the best when it comes to lockdown and responsiveness, but the thickness of the material has a very interesting feel to it. It's one of the softest, I would say, synthetic materials out there right now. At least one of the nicest feeling. It's so plush. It's so like almost a little bit stretchy and spongy, but in a nice way. Has good grip on the ball. Feels elegant. Like there is some material between your foot and the ball. But it's not a speed boot.
Yeah, you know what though? Nobody's really doing this anymore because I think the companies have realized that if you want to have something that's a little bit more padded but still maintain good feel for the ball, leather just does that better.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Because when you end up with a synthetic that's too chunky, like a lot of the boots we just talked about from our childhood, you actually don't feel anything. So,
you could also go for the Hypervenom Phantom 3s.
I was going to say that
I'm
too.
saying this, yeah, because it has the 3D knitted bubbles with what is it called again? I forget, because we haven't talked about it for a while. The foam.
The pour-on foam.
Yeah. That retracts when you hit the ball and becomes harder, so you get a flatter strike. So,
because that totally works, Jay.
Absolutely. But, I mean, you do. I mean, comparing it to a Mercurial, let's be fair here. I mean, you do feel that there's a little bit more material between your foot and the ball compared to a Mercurial, and it's like the size of the thickness of the knit is roughly the same. So there is a little bit more, I would say, structure and stuff between your foot and the ball. And obviously the lockdown is very good. So that could also be an option.
Okay.
Moving on.
I think we've given a sufficient answer there.
You can go and choose a boot right now because we were very good at narrowing that down. Yeah. A year or two back, asks Hassan Hussain, there was a trend of making leather uppers for non-leather models, Techcraft, Edge Pack, etc. Good idea. Should they do it again? Yes, please. Give us more Techcraft stuff. It was amazing. Well, when they did it right, but the Edge Pack was awesome. Give us more of that stuff, please.
Yeah, the last one they did was interesting. Except the Mercurial. I think the Mercurial was... The problem with the Mercurial was they had to have that rib texturing, which really added a ton of stiffness. And then the inside was lined in this like really hard plasticky synthetic material. Yeah. Which took away from it.
See, the problem with those boots is that they basically took off like the top coating, and then they put on leather instead of the top coating. So they still had the base silicone. So basically you have, normally when you make an upper, you have an inner liner. That's the stuff you can feel on the inside of the boot. Then you have the synthetic itself. And then you have some sort of a coating, or, you know, they call it release paper that gives the material its hand feel basically when you touch it. So they took off the release paper, the outer coating, and then they slap leather on top of the synthetic. The problem is that the leather might be super soft and premium, but a material is only, or an upper is only as soft as its hardest component, which was the synthetic. So it was still really hard and stiff. It was just a shame. And then also the liner was rubbish. So yeah.
And I think the Obra 2 had the same thing.
It wasn't good. I mean, when they made the Opus, you remember the black and white Techcraft pack?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Because then they took, instead of having the synthetic on, they basically took the mesh base and they put leather on top of it. So it was really soft and felt amazing. Vapor 10s.
Yeah, those were good.
That's the way to do it. This is the way. You don't just slap leather on top of the synthetic upper. You actually make the boot with the same construction. You just swap the full synthetic package with leather. That's the way I would want to see it in the future.
Yeah, I think the reason why Nike hasn't done it recently is historically none of those packs have really done that well in terms of sales.
Yeah,
and you could say that's down to the colorways because some of them have been brutal.
Not the best, yeah. Let's just put it
not the best or brutal. It's just opposite ends of the spectrum. To
quote Gary Neville, they have been rancid. I love that word. Never heard that word before in English, but apparently it's not a very good thing.
Rancid. It's like rotten.
I mean, okay, fair enough. I think the black and white Techcraft pack they did was good. I like the black and like brightly colored pack they did with the black and pink vapors, and I think it was a black and green Tiempo.
Yeah, black and blue for the Magista, and then black and orange for the Hypervenom.
Yeah, exactly. Those were solid boots. But then
you didn't like the tan and Volt.
Well, the idea was good. The execution could have been better.
Yeah.
Let's just
I don't know. I think it's just hard to make leather boots appeal to the masses these days.
But if you do it right, I mean, look at Mizuno with the Wave Cup Legends. OG leather boot, they just made it work.
Yeah.
I reckon that if they make a proper leather Mercurial, and if they make a proper Phantom Venom in leather, it's actually going to have some potential. I think people... it's just maybe me being naive, but I just have an idea that the people that they want to, sell these boots to will actually understand that this is something special, something that will actually work. So make 2,000 of each pair, and hopefully you'll do all right. Maybe make 1,000 of the. I'm just thinking
how, like, compared to how they've done it in the past, how are they going to convert any of the 3 that aren't leather right now into leather boots? Like the whole wraparound split sole on the Mercurial really makes that a challenging task to do it out of leather. Yeah. The Phantom Vision with the whole shroud lace cover outer shell thing, I guess it could work because all the structure's internal anyways. That would be interesting. But then you lose out of the stretch of the lace cover, which would make the boots pretty much impossible to put on.
True. What if you merged leather and knit? So you had a leather toe box, you had knit in the places where you needed to stretch, but otherwise it was full leather.
I don't know. I don't know that their current boots lend themselves well to doing a TechCraft pack.
I see where you're coming from. I definitely see where you're coming from. I'd love to see it though. Just to have a Phantom Venom in leather. I would absolutely love that. Yeah, that would give us some proper Predator vibes.
It'd be cool. Proper Predator vibes from a Nike boot. What is the world? What is this world we live in, Jay?
Isaac Kuma, however you say that, how much would you say grip socks improve lockdown in laceless boots? That's also a very good question, because by the logic of grip socks, you would assume that, if you take on a laceless boot and it doesn't have the same good lockdown as a lace boot would, well, then you can kind of compensate by having grip socks in a laceless boot. And I thought long and hard about it, and I actually think you will have better grip, but it's not necessarily going to be, enough for you to feel comfortable in them.
You'll get better grip in terms of your foot sliding on the base of the sole.
Exactly, yeah, but you're not.
But it will not lock your foot down.
No,
yeah,
exactly. So definitely there will be less movement compared to if you don't wear grip socks. But it's not going to improve the lockdown, because that is still something that only the boot can affect. But your foot is definitely going to slide around less. But when it does slide, you will have the same, lack of lockdown that you will get if you don't wear grip socks.
Yeah, it'll from a friction standpoint, the weight of your foot on the sole, it won't slide as much. But as soon as you lift your foot and there's now no pressure, they're not anti-gravity socks, so it's basically if there's no lockdown, that's another product we should come up with. There. That Basics anti-gravity socks.
Sold. I'm in. When do we start? What does it say here, man? Oh, I'm getting old here. Anders Belle, Danish guy, probably most disappointing boot release ever.
Ever? Oh wow.
Ever.
Oh man.
There's a very simple answer to that question, to quote a good friend of mine. It's the New Balance Zhero 2. Closely followed by the Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2.
Okay, that Hypervenom Phantom 2, yeah. That's such a different...
But the Zhero
Jay, let's be real.
But
be honest right now. The Zhero 1 was surprisingly decent. Were you really like, oh my gosh, the Zhero 2 is going to be the greatest thing ever. I can't wait.
I had very, very high expectations. And when I rocked up at the launch event and got the boots on, I was just like, what on earth have you done? And the designers was there and it was all really awkward. Really, really awkward.
It's Crocs. The first ever Crocs with studs.
Man, that boot was just... I mean, I really enjoyed the first Zhero. So for me personally, that was a big big screw up. I would also say that, the Phantom 2s, a boot loved by so many still to this day, and they go and they make that.
Yeah, Phantom 2 was a big one. I'm trying to think. I think you'd have a lot of people that would say the Predator, the return of the Predator. Predator, right? The return of the Predator.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, come on.
No.
You don't think long-time hardcore Predator guys were so upset at the Predator 18 plus? Maybe not the guys who were into the Ace were happy about it because it was basically just an Ace. But the hardcore Predator guys, come on.
Yeah, for them, I'll give you that. You know what? I'll give you that. But for me, it wasn't, because we've talked about this so many times. But for me, the Predator 18 plus was a way of bringing the Predator. Maybe not. It wasn't perfect. And it wasn't, it didn't take all the Predator DNA that it could have. Rubber elements, wink, wink. But I still thought it was a very, very good way of bringing some of the Predator DNA into the modern age. And, the Pred heads still got their, what they want. They just want to be stuck in 1998. No disrespect, but they wanted to never change. Right? And that's just the way the world is. The world changes. And for me, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, to many people, that would have been a big, big disappointment.
Yeah. So hopefully Nike makes those TechCraft Phantom Venoms for the old school Predator vibes.
Yeah. But what, in your opinion, what's the biggest disappointment? Worst? Well,
I think you were right in saying maybe Predator X, because it was such a far departure than what they. But is Predator X worse than Predator LZ?
Yes. 1,000 times. I know that
But in terms of overall disappointment, like
yes,
big
time.
You come up. Predator X was bad. Oh, it wasn't. It was bad. Okay, it was bad.
Yeah, then they give us the Addy Power, and we think, yes, it is back on track. Then we got the LC. It was not a bad football boot. It wasn't a very good Predator, but it wasn't a bad boot, and it gave you some of the same feels as you got in the Addy Power. Whereas the X just took a complete detour down. I got in trouble for saying some bad words in the last podcast, so I'm not going to say that, but it went to a dark place, right? From the Power Sword, which is one of my personal favorite Predators ever. I was really, really disappointed. I had to review it for Unisport, and it was very, very tough. I was young back then and thought, okay, maybe this is going to be all right. But no, it wasn't. He was bad, man.
Yeah, Hypervenom Phantom 2 is a big one. I don't think Puma has had anything. I don't want to. That was a big enough deal. They've had boots that were disappointing.
5 and 6 and the Superfly 2 and 3, maybe.
Yeah, but I feel like people really like those boots. And while they weren't rubbish. Good products, but they were so important for what they did for the industry in terms of tech introduction.
I'll buy it.
That's why it's hard for me to say like such bad as terrible as I think Superfly 1, 2, and 3 are. They're so important for what football boots have become.
Fair enough.
So
I'll let that slide. I'll let it slide.
Yeah.
But they were rubbish. Okay, so Shrek, interesting username here. Most attractive colorway on any boots ever.
Oh man. I hate these all-time questions. I have such a hard time with them.
Yeah, because there's been so much. Okay. Let me just narrow it down. I'm gonna mention, go from the back. So I'm gonna mention probably my top 5 here, and then give you the best looking football boot ever. Right, in no particular order. Nike GS OG, fantastic looking boot. One of the best looking boots ever. First, Mercurial. Predator Accelerator. Either of the two CR7 Vapor 9s that were made in 100 pairs. I also really want to say the Rare Golds because I love those, but the best looking boot?
Oh, he's got it. Oh, yeah. That's a good answer, Jay. It's a good answer. I can't.
It's the only answer I can do, right?
I can't argue with that.
To be fair, I think it's a like even now when I see it on pitch and I see videos of it, I realize, wow, it was actually we were onto something here. This is not the best looking boot ever, but for me it's very special. I would probably say the GS, but no.
Okay, since you copped out and didn't give one answer, I'm gonna do the same. And I won't. I think everything you named was good looking. So I'm not. I'm not.
Are you gonna say?
I'm not gonna pick any of your picks.
Don't say the laser toots, bro. Don't.
Okay, I have to say Vapor 1 because I think Vapor 1 is just Chrome Lime Vapor 1, crazy looking boot.
Fair.
Crazy.
Fair.
Predator Mania for me. That crazy. The way the stripes go through the split sole, incredible.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm kind of on the hype train right now, but I really thought the T90 Laser 1 was such a cool looking boot.
Agreed.
And it was black. I was never, even growing up as a kid, I never really wanted bright boots, but I had T90 Laser 1s in yellow, and I wanted them in yellow because it just looked so cool.
But white black was so much better.
White black was better looking back, but yellow is what I wanted. No, not ever, but it's
fair enough.
They did a good job at making a weird design look very, very cool.
Yeah.
And then
I'll run with
I had another one. Okay, I don't know why. I just randomly thought of this. It came into my head. Remember the Nike Tiempo Air Legend 2 was just such a clean boot. But remember the white ones with just the black outline for the swoosh? Do you remember those?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember those.
Those were incredible. Yeah.
They look good. Yeah. I like the
Tiempo Legend 4 Elite.
Oh, how could I forget? Oh,
that's a good one.
Yeah. Solid. But which is the best looking?
Oh, I kind of like the Tiempo Legend 4 Elite.
You can say it. You can say it. just give in. Let it go.
The JayMike Puma 1 future CEO of Basics.
Thank you. Sorted. Thank you for today. It's let's take one more question here. A couple of good questions here today. I'll not do one. What is the best something ever? Actually, I took one question from Brian Rudy. Enjoying the Mercurial Vapor 12 Pros. Best boot I've ever had on feet. It's not a question, but it's just a nice statement. And they are really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we do here? I have okay, Mackenzie Paul. What are your opinions on Nike ID and the old My Adidas? And he says, best podcast out there and 2 best football boot channels on YouTube. Big up,
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Nike ID, My Adidas, fantastic initiatives. Could be so much more, but fantastic initiatives for what they are. I really like the idea, the fact that you can customize your boots and get them just the way you like them. If that was the case, because usually when
I was just gonna say that.
If you go there and you want something and you usually just get disappointed. I mean, there's so much potential. Why not just unleash the potential? Unleash the behemoth that you can go and you can make exactly what you want. Imagine you could it would be a nightmare for the brands, but imagine that you could actually go in, choose materials, choose every little color, have more customization on the boots, choose different lasts or widths or I don't know. There's so many opportunities and I'd pay a premium for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just going to say, every time I've used either of those services, I start making my design that I have in my head, and then I realize, okay, I am limited to these colors. Now I have to change my design based on these limitations, and it's like, I feel like I always end up with something cool, but it's like, it could have been so much cooler. That's the problem with... And you have to understand too that these are made to order products. So these brands can only put so many options for it to be a viable business practice. They're realistically only charging you typically it's like a $40 premium, which is a lot more money than a regular colorway for sure. But in the grand scheme of things, for a made to order product, an extra $40 is not crazy. So for them to really give us limitless options, I don't know how much they'd have to charge. An extra $100, $200?
I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to show you some of the creations that I've actually done on Nike ID that have been pretty cool. These. Now, to be fair, I did them with Jolter. Thankfully, we're roughly the same size. I managed to talk him into wearing a size 40 in which is my size in the Hypervenoms, US 7. We got them in AG. And since I play in a club that's red and blue and white, I made a blue pair, he made a red pair, and we just swapped. So he has a blue right boot and a red left boot, and his are dead, mine aren't, and I absolutely love them.
Wow. Yeah, those are cool. Actually, Hypervenom Phantom 1 was pretty good customization options.
Yeah. And then I did this, which I thought looked amazing. Then I saw Mbappe did a low-cut version of them shortly after. So you're welcome, Killian. I'll take 10%. But this is, I wanted to do so much more, but I thought this was a nice option. But you're right.
Not to get all Canadian again, because I feel like I do this in every podcast. But I just happened to see this last week. Bauer, which is a really big company. Like you could always buy custom hockey skates, but you can buy custom hockey sticks now.
Sorry to all the hockey fans.
No, but you can buy custom hockey sticks now.
It's
and
so
like
Canadian.
No, they give you like all the customizations that the pros get, which is like, it doesn't sound like you could customize a lot with a hockey stick, but there's like pretty much endless possibilities. And they've made that available to the public. You have to buy, here's the thing though, you have to buy 3 sticks, I think is the minimum. So your order for like 3 sticks ends up being like probably like $1,200. So if that gives you an idea of cost, but like, what if that was the thing? I'm just saying, like, okay, let's say boots are $300. If you're gonna get a custom pair, but you had to order 3 pairs, what's a reasonable price for that?
I would pay it. There are people who would pay it. It's just, I think it's just such a big hassle for the brands that they don't want to do it. Simple as that.
I think, logistically, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And fair enough, but just give us more options, please. More color options. It's not a bad thing. And please don't ever change with the Canadian stuff. I apologize to all Canadians out there. I'm going to Canada myself. I'm sure I'm going to love the country, but it's just so funny that you always have to talk about hockey. Every parallel, and you guys should keep in mind, every parallel that Josh makes has got something to do with hockey.
Sorry. I can't help myself.
On that note, I think it's time that we close down episode number 15 of the Boot Nerds podcast. If you're still with us, thank you so much for sticking around, listening to 2 guys talking about football boots every week for more or less a full hour. We really, really appreciate you guys, and I don't speak English anymore. Now, of course, don't forget to go ask some questions in the comment section right down below if you want us to answer them in some of the next episodes. What you should also do is go follow Josh's channel right over there for quality content every single flipping day. You can also go and follow what we do at Unisport. It's also pretty good at times. And then, of course, don't forget to go subscribe to the best podcast on the tube by clicking the black bubble in the middle. Slap a like on the video. Turn on notifications. Tell your mom, tell your friends to go listen. Audio only version is in the description. And with that said, I am JayMike, and I support this message.
Hockey Nerds podcast coming soon.
Cheerio.
Later.